Well, I'll tell you what. Welcome to Pastor's Corner. I'm Pastor Tony McGee, and one of the things that I really want to deal with today is I've been listening to a lot of things that have been going on with the in the news, of course, with the um, confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. There's an interesting point that it seems to me that in much of conversation is being left out. And I understand as best I can, I suppose, the Me Too movement, and I understand that people are saying, hey, we've gone through things and we need to tell our story and we need to get it out. I get that. And as much as possible, I get that, and I embrace that as much as possible. But there's another point that I think is equally important, and so um, it's it's important that we don't just buy something, we don't just believe something because somebody cries, because somebody said it happened. This is where investigation is important. This is where the credibility of witnesses is important. Now, I want to just kind of go into something here in Exodus. I want to just look at a couple of passages of scripture very quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but in Exodus 20 and 16, there's an interesting thing that's here in the, of course, the Ten Commandments, and the ninth commandment has something very interesting to say, and this is so important. It says, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." Now, I get it. The idea is that many women coming forth and saying that they've been sexually abused, they've been taken advantage of, they've been harmed in the workplace, undue pressure has been put on them, and so forth. And I get that, and I think that it's great that we live in a time when that can be dealt with, that can be handled. But I don't believe that it's appropriate for us to lose our good common sense and just embrace somebody because they do a pretty good performance. And what I mean by that is several holes were in Christine Ford's testimony that gives one pause. Now, one of the things that I thought was fascinating, so many people would say in different media said, it was a credible testimony. Well, because a person says something very nice and they hit all the cued points that the innocent person would hit, and I think she has some experience in psychology and psychiatry and I think she said she was licensed. I don't know if she was or not, but the bottom line, if a person has studied any of these case studies and so forth, they can affect all of that stuff. I mean, most of us, we watch movies, and just to use this for example, we watch movies oftentimes, many of us, and if you're not careful, if the actor or actress is very good, before you know it, you forget that the person is even acting. You get so tied up with the story and the character and the way that they're expressing it that it's fairly believable. But here's the thing: when somebody accuses somebody of doing something, it's not a movie script, it's not a television special. The person has actually accused somebody of doing something quite awful, and if it's true, there should be serious consequences. If it's validated and verified, there should be serious consequences, unquestionably. However, if it's not true, I present to you that there should be serious consequences if a person is found to have brought forth a false witness. You see, I get it. Some women would say, well, you just never know what women go through. Well, I mean, if that would be the case, then because I've been falsely accused of doing something before, not to the extent of actually sexual assault on anybody, but I was falsely accused of some things, and the thing about it is, here's the problem: people believe it. Relationships are affected for the rest of your life because are the words of a liar. And so if you really wanted to say what we need to do is take the words of somebody simply because they've gone through an experience, then here's an idea, facetiously speaking. Take my word and say, we're not going to believe it because we know that people will lie. Of course, that would be ridiculous. Then no, we would never get to the bottom of any of this stuff. We never get to the bottom of it. So what we have to do is we have to take, and when somebody brings forth, we should be respectful. I agree with that. We should be respectful. We should listen to what they're saying. But if they've been proven to be a liar, and what I mean by that, if their story does not hold up, and the full corroborating witnesses that this woman brought forth, all four of them said they didn't remember it. They didn't remember it. They didn't know Brett Kavanaugh. This didn't happen. Now you say, well, wait a minute. I mean, but she's weepy and she seems to be credible. No. Credible is not about how somebody looks when the camera is rolling. Actors and actresses do that all the time. Credible would be when the witness and corroborating witnesses and evidence substantiates the accusation. If it does not, then the person, according to the evidence, has bore a false witness. And we saw right here in the scripture, it says, thou shalt not bear false witness. Now I want to look at something else here in Proverbs 6:16. And it's amazing to me because even though we know this as Christians, sometimes we forget about this and we go right on as though it's okay, it's all right. Let's not pay attention to it. Let's just, we're on this bandwagon or that bandwagon, and we forget that we're really the bandwagon of Christ. That's what we're supposed to be. How would you like it if somebody told an awful lie on you and it was not true? You knew it was not true. Would you be able to calmly sit there and just say, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's incorrect. No, you'd probably be pretty much what I would do. I would be incredulous that this person has come forth and actually said this. I would be furious. And I would be so heartbroken that people that I love and trusted believed it. But these things happen. Now, am I saying that we need to say we are automatically by default going to believe the man over the woman? No, that's as silly as you're going to believe the woman over the man or over the person that's being defending themselves. See, because I think one of the great challenges that we face in our time is we live in a time of it seems to me challenge morals, and people lie. I mean, just tell lies easily. Just spit them right on out. And don't think about the consequences. They just want to look good. They just want to be the right person. They just want to be this or that or whatever reason that they have. The bottom line is that's what we're dealing with. False witness. I mean, just recently I was looking over some things when this came up, and several people, we could talk about the lacrosse, we could talk about Tawanda Crawler, we could talk about one young man was about to receive a scholarship to football, and he was convicted of rape, and he declared his innocence, and then several years later the woman comes forth and said she lied on him. She lied. And yet some people are saying, hey, you've got to believe the woman. No, you've got to believe the evidence. See, we can't just say because somebody is shedding tears and looks sincere and all of that, that we buy it. As Christians, we should be able to have some discernment. We should be able to look at a thing and say, We can see where this is credible or this is incredible, lack of credibility, and look at the evidence and say, well, this is a missing point, and this is a missing point, and that's a missing point. And I understand people are saying, well, it happened 30 some odd years ago, and nobody would remember all of that, and so forth. But I mean, then the whole point of coming forth then is ridiculous. So what do you mean it's ridiculous? Because there was, if you don't remember, what do you want to do? Show up and say, I don't remember? I don't remember? But yes, let's punish somebody for something that they denied because you have a memory. And one of the other things, maybe you don't know this, but I'll let you know the secret. She wrote a paper saying that you could use self hypnosis to creatively remember something that didn't happen. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, see, a lot of these things are happening, and I'm not saying, she wasn't abused. I don't know. I'm simply saying we have to at least have the integrity to follow the evidence. Let's look at another passage of scripture, Proverbs 6:16 through 19. I want to read this with you, and then I'll share some thoughts with you on this right here. It says, these 6 things does the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, and heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift and run into mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. Again, the main thing that I'm talking about is the false witness. Again and again, we find that people come forth boldly and lay forth accusations. And then after they've accomplished some political point, they move on, and it moves off of the front page. It moves away from the top of the news cycle, and nobody ever thinks about it again. Here's what I think needs to happen. If somebody brings forth something, and it's serious, they need to follow it all the way through. Don't just flap your mouth, destroy somebody's credibility, besmirch their name, and then say, never mind. No, not never mind. You started it. Let's go all the way through. And if the person is found to be a false witness, they are slandering somebody, then there should be consequences for that. I'm not saying that there should be the same. Well, actually, let me just step on out here. If somebody accuses somebody of a heinous thing such as rape, and one woman said that the man was conducting gang rapes. If it's found to be false, then there should be consequences. And I would be in favor of saying, yes, just as severe as if the person would have been convicted of that, it should be just as severe. Because here's what we need to do. We need to make sure that women are protected. Anybody's protected. If they're facing any type of sexual abuse or